Hello, I'm Eric Singer, Gazette.com, and this is City Chat, where we go beyond the sound bites to get you real answers to questions that you have. Joining me, of course, is Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers. Thank you for being here.
Eric, glad to be with you.
And City Hall reporter Billie Stanton Anleu with the Gazette. Thank you for being here as always.
Thank you.
All right, let's go first to a Facebook question from one of your questions, and we wanted to make sure that we got that initially out of the way. Jennifer Ryan asks, what is the biggest obstacle you face right now, Mayor?
Eric, anytime you get elected to public office, you become burdened by the realities of governance. And there's a lot of people out there that are critical of you that aren't burdened by the realities of governance. And so as we move forward to this proposed tax increase to deal with our roads, you know, this is Colorado Springs. There's a group of folks out there. There's always going to be individuals, there's going to be groups who are going to oppose a tax no matter how necessary it is. And my job is to do the best job I can to show the public why we need a tax increase to deal with this road problem. And, you know, I'm a fiscal conservative. The 8 of the council people that voted to put this on are fiscally conservative. But burdened with the realities of governance, we know that we cannot fix the roads in the manner we need to without this tax increase. So it's just kind of part of being a government official. That's the life that you volunteer for.
All right, thank you, Jennifer Ryan, for your question. Billie?
Well, my question is tied to that one, Mayor. Right now, I see that there's a lot of opposition coming together, Americans for Prosperity, and this new group, Douglas Bruce, they're all kind of gathering forces to say that there's plenty of money in the budget. What's wrong with this picture? And I think there's that cynicism about government that I've seen everywhere I've ever lived, that, you know, they're just trying to rip us off again. And I wonder if you can answer in some detail why you actually need extra money for these terrible roads, which no one can disagree with that.
Well, Billie, let's start with the fact that building roads is an essential government function. This is not something that the private sector could do or nonprofits could do. Only the government can do it. And there was an interesting statistic in my State of the City address that indicated that our general fund today, on a per capita inflation adjusted basis, is significantly less than it was in 2000. Almost $100 per person, per resident, less than it was in 2000. And as I explained at that time, I think that's good news. It shows that we've been fiscally responsible. But roads and public works have taken an inordinate hit. I mean, that's how that happened. We didn't cut police and fire. People didn't want to do that. But now we find ourselves with 60% of our roads in poor condition. You can't just throw a couple $1 million at that a year, which is what we would do normally, and make any progress. We have to have this tax increase to make significant progress to the point where we can get to a normal situation, as opposed to having 60% of our roads in poor condition, either need an overlay or need reconstruction. As I indicated, I feel I'm a very fiscally conservative person. There's people on the council, Keith King and others, very fiscally conservative people. But when we look at the budget, there simply is not the money to take on a significant expenditure like this without some help with the voters. And that's why we've got this November 3rd ballot issue before the voters. Without that, we'll just continue at the pace we're at. And I would predict in about 5 years, instead of 60% poor roads, we'd have 75% poor roads. If we can get this passed, we can significantly change the trajectory of our road conditions in Colorado Springs.
Are you optimistic that it will pass?
The one thing I'm very optimistic about is that people understand the issue. Usually when you go to the voters, you've got to convince them that it's an issue. I don't have that problem. No one is saying that our roads don't need to be fixed, and that's a big hurdle to get over. Mm-hmm. And so I'll simply respond to every, if they say, they look at our financial report and say, gee, you had $29.4 million of deferred taxes, and they thought that meant taxes that weren't collected. No, it means taxes that were imposed in 2014, collected in 2015. Every time they point something out like that, I just got to explain why, no, that's not money that's available to do what needs to be done.
And then is there also the question of basic frugality and thriftiness among the citizenry? I know that national study showed that we're all spending more than $700 a year taking care of our cars. And as someone who had to get new shocks and buy new tires as soon as I got here practically, I can relate to that. And the tax increase is supposed to cost an average of $100 per household. So as far as the fiscal conservatives weighing in, it would almost seem that the basic math behind that would indicate that you'd save money in the long run if you're a driver.
Right. What this national study showed is that the average driver in Colorado Springs spends $723 because of the condition of the roads, and that's more than $200 more than the national average. And we're asking each household to pay an additional $100, and every driver in that household is experiencing about $200 in costs associated with the, more than the national average, associated with the condition of our roads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in a nutshell, sit-lie ordinance, that's the elephant in the room. A lot of folks talking about it. Obviously, you have your say, what you believe. So tell me, sit-lie ordinance continues to slowly but surely get weakened, the proposal. What's your take on it?
My take is that we need to give the police some tool to deal with people lying and sitting on sidewalks or roadways, and making it not only some public safety issues, but also freedom of commerce, and making downtown a place that people want to spend time. So when I talk to the council after these hearings, I'm going to say, I don't care if we don't want to prohibit people from sitting on planters, for example. We can put something on those planters to make it less than ideal to sit on them. But we got to keep people from sitting or lying on the sidewalk. There's nothing inherent about the homeless condition that you ought to have the right to sleep on or sit on a sidewalk. They can do that in the park and other places. Penalty-wise, I don't have any problem with lessening the penalties. I would certainly suggest to the council that if they're charged as a second offense, that jail time be a possibility. So I really do believe, I've been getting an awful lot of input on this from what I would kind of call the silent majority. These are not the folks that went to the public hearings, but feel very strongly about the need to improve the atmosphere in our downtown area, make free access on the sidewalks the rule. And I think we'll pass an ordinance in November that will deal with people sitting or lying on the sidewalks, on roadways, on trails, things like that, and that it will have some penalties attached. And I'm hoping that at least for second offense, it would have a possibility of jail time to be a significant deterrent. But that would have to be charged by the city attorney as a second offense. And I think the votes are there at council, and I think that that will happen.
And hopefully an ordinance that won't be challenged by the ACLU.
It may well be challenged, but an ordinance that will be held constitutional. 180 communities have similar sorts of ordinances, and if we fashion this right and deal with obstruction of roadways, making for an appropriate economic environment downtown, that's going to be an appropriate motive, and I think it will be held constitutional.
All right, sir, final thoughts to the residents of Colorado Springs who are watching this?
I'm very optimistic about a lot of things in Colorado Springs. There's indications that with our improving economy, we're going to have some really terrific economic development in Colorado Springs. I'm very excited about some of the things going on at the airport. I'm very excited about downtown development, some increasing residential opportunities down here at the downtown partnership meeting, proposal for 750 new apartment units in downtown Colorado Springs. The Olympic Museum is going to happen. I think we're going to break ground next spring. I think that's going to be a great catalyst for downtown Colorado Springs. I'm very excited. I'm hoping that the voters understand that investing in infrastructure is very important to our economic development, to attracting new businesses here and convincing businesses that are here that they ought to invest in an expansion.
All right, Mayor John, thank thank you so much for being here, and thank you for expressing your thoughts to the residents of Colorado Springs. And thank you, Billie Stanton Anleu, as always. And thank you for watching. And until next time, we go beyond the sound bites here at City Chat on the Gazette and Gazette.com. I'm Eric Singer, Gazette.com. See you next time.